Hello and welcome to Beyond the Noise, the podcast series from PRWeek. I'm Evie Barrett, Deputy News Editor, and today I'm joined by two of PRWeek's 2026 People Stars as shortlisted in our People and Places Awards last month. We have Chris Maho, Account Manager at the Romans, and Holly Ryan, Account Director at WA Communications, both of whom appeared in the Under 10 Years Experience category at this year's awards. Welcome both, how are you doing?
Hi, yeah, good, thank you. Good to be here.
Hi, yeah, super happy.
Great to have you here today. So I wondered if you could both please start by giving us a quick overview of yourself and your career background and what you do currently. Do you want to start, Holly?
Yeah, of course. So I am now at WA Communications, as you say, but I started off in consumer PR at Full Fat, which was a wonderful place to start out straight after uni. It's kind of where I cut my teeth on media relations and face-to-face with journalists. But I started to get more and more interested in B2B and kind of corporate communications. And then I did a course in public policy and just, became increasingly fascinated in that kind of intersection between business and reputation and politics and where that all falls. So, door opened for me at WA. And that's where I currently am now, strategic communications consultancy. So quite different to where I first started out.
Well, I started in PR, not by accident, but basically, I was studying fashion journalism at university, and I knew that I wanted to have my internship done before finishing uni. Normally, you do it on the third year or so. And I was 2 months in, and I said, okay, whatever comes in, I'm going to take it. So I applied, got an internship at an agency called Tucker Taylor. It was meant to be 3 months, realized that that's what I wanted. And I wanted it so badly that I actually dropped out of uni to focus in PR. So yeah, that's how I started. Was there for 2 years, actually, working on all things consumer, so delivery, etc. And then I moved to the Romans, which is where I'm at now, and I love it. So I work across both PR and digital. I'm a frustrated influencer. I'm like, I was meant to be an influencer, but I'm not one. So I'm gonna tell you what to do. And I really enjoy that role. So yes, that's where I'm at. I am currently also doing a master's in marketing and digital communications to kind of really bring that digital piece to the business, which already exists, but upskill myself and be able to offer it to clients and be just a PR digital diva.
Amazing. You have started your influencer journey, I think, a bit at Cannes, which we'll come on to shortly. But I guess jumping straight into quite a hefty question, do you think PR has a problem with ageism? Is that something that you've ever noticed or kind of felt any kind of discrimination against as a younger person? I guess across a lot of the professional world that is the case, but I'm not sure that PR kind of falls into that sort of category of traditional industry. So it'd be great to hear your experiences of that.
My experience is quite unique because I was working at an agency that was also known for being unique. Everyone was different in that agency. So you had me, I was 20 years old. You have my boss, Gary, who was 45. So I don't see ageism there. And again, I think I've been lucky because my clients also show the same experience. I have clients that are my age mates. Literally one of my best friends is my client. And then I have clients that could be my parents. So it's nice to have different experiences. And I don't think ageism is a thing in PR from my experience.
Yeah, I completely agree, actually. And I do think PR is quite a unique industry to work in. And I've also been fortunate enough not to, have experienced age discrimination before, which is very lucky. But PR is also quite a female-led industry as well. And as a white woman, I kind of naturally fit in anyway. So there's a role to play to make sure others that are from different backgrounds have the same welcoming experience into PR. But yeah, I think people that move through seniority and they have more years behind them, they've kind of got that, been there, done that badge, and they have that experience behind them. They know how things work, how things don't work. But the younger ones come in with fresh perspectives and new ideas. And I think that's really welcomed by those who have been in the industry a little bit longer because, you're just open to new ideas and new thoughts and ways of thinking, which is absolutely what the industry needs.
For sure. And I think there's a lot of desire to tap into kind of Gen Z as a demographic. How well do you think senior PR professionals do that? Do you think they understand kind of younger generations when they're trying to address them in campaigns?
I think they do. And when they don't, they make sure that they get the right partners to help them. There's a lot of cultural agencies and cultural experts that can help you do that piece. And I haven't seen anyone just yet doing it wrong, and I think it's because they are open. Like at in my office, for example, we have a specific Gen Z channel. So they will run a brief past us even if you're not on the account, just to sense check the vibe. When there's a talent and they might not be familiar with it, they run it past us. Because again, you not knowing something doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And you actually need to count on the people if you want to do work for the people.
Yeah, definitely. And to your point about having the Gen Z channel, I think so many of us are Gen Z that have been in the industry for actually quite a long time now. I think we're really good. I think we know the generation very well and how that fits into campaigns. And we're very good now at like influencing that generation and understanding what makes it tick and responding to it. So I think actually it's the generations below us now that we need to start thinking about how we're going to communicate with them, how are we going to speak their language. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see that take shape.
I'm going to keep my nephews busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, you hear more and more about like Gen Alpha and with social media ban. I think that's going to be a really interesting challenge, and kind of how you learn about that demographic if you don't have the access to them through social and that sort of thing. Okay, so you've both been in your current roles for around 3 years, but prior to that, I'm interested to know what your experience of the PR job market was like, and I suppose what kind of drew you to your current role.
Yeah, so I started in PR, not by accident, but yes, by accident. Thank you, Alex, because I did bullshit my way through the interview. And it's just like, you are what we wanted. Like, so again, personality, I guess. But then I just loved it so much. And then I had to switch roles by accident. Like, my company went into administration. I was suddenly unemployed. Like, I was not looking forward to making a move. But then things happen for a reason. I started at the Romans, and now I'm in that position again. I'm not looking to make a move. So I feel like my experience is unique because I know that the market is tough, and I acknowledge that there's people that are going through a hard time, but I don't know if it's the resilience, I don't know if it's God, I don't know if it's just I'm fabulous. I've had it good.
And what was it about the Romans? Was it the culture that drew you to it?
Yes. So when I first started, when I was working at Tucker Taylor, it was Tucker Taylor, and then the other agency that I knew about was the Romans. I like in at the awards, I knew that, and I remember I went to one award ceremony and I said hi to Joe because again, I don't know you, but I see your Instagram. So it felt that it was a place in which I would be interested. The work that they produced was interesting. And then when I had the opportunity to join, I did it out of a bit of desperation. So I was unemployed within the hour. The opportunity came in. So had that been another agency, I would have said yes. But this year turned out to be a whole hell yes. And I love it.
Oh, amazing. I think it's interesting. The Romans seems to be one of the agencies that kind of, in terms of employer branding, has done a good job at getting its name out there. As you say, I think most people in the industry will have at least heard of it. I think it is a challenge for PR employers to bring in talent and kind of show their unique qualities from an employer perspective. I mean, what's your experience of looking for PR jobs, Holly?
Similar, I think. It's incredibly competitive, but it's also very inspiring. There's a lot of talent out there, right? You only have to look at LinkedIn and see the campaigns that people are working on. The thought leadership out there on LinkedIn is incredible. So it is a tough market, but I think because I shifted my career journey from sort of consumer to more corporate affairs, it was quite deliberate, I suppose, because I had like a goal that I was working towards. So I was constantly looking for the next door, I suppose, to open. So yeah, but WA sort of came out of nowhere for me because I did this course in public policy and didn't know that space very well at all. Like, it's been a major learning curve, which has been so fascinating. And then, yeah, I all of a sudden came across this agency that's had so much growth and works with so many amazing clients and does a lot of good work for the greater good of a lot of industries, which is fantastic. And that is something that really inspires me every day. And the team, I think it's the people that keep you in the role for sure. And it's very like encouraging, welcoming space.
In terms of sort of younger people in the industry looking to move jobs, what advice would you give to younger people starting out in the industry when junior roles are more competitive than ever? We see a lot of people using AI to kind of edit their CVs, which is a helpful tool in some cases, but in other cases can make a lot of CVs blur together. What would you say about making sure that you're kind of seen by the right employers?
Expose yourself. If you see my LinkedIn, I can give the ick a bit, but then I realized that you just have to be delusional because you're going to land on the right screen. Expose yourself. They can use AI. We're not against AI, but AI cannot be you. And AI cannot have your thoughts, and AI cannot have your personality, which is pretty much I'm talented, by the way. But again, you use personality at your job role. So just expose yourself. Go to a post on LinkedIn. Attend the networking events. Like, find what's accessible for you, because I understand that most of these things are only accessible when you're in the industry. But LinkedIn is for everyone. Connect, post, share your thoughts, and they will find you and they will see you.
Yeah, completely agree with Chris. I think LinkedIn is that digital live CV that you can constantly keep updating, and like your digital footprint is what future employers and future colleagues will see, and it's so accessible. And I think for PRs, connect with other PRs, comment on their content and engage with the campaigns that they've done, talk about why you think it's great, talk about why some aren't so great, and have an opinion. Share your thoughts, share who you are, like you were saying. I think it's so important to show authenticity, and that is a word that gets thrown around a lot. But I think in the age of AI, it's just so much more important, because we're always looking for human thought, human connection. And I mean, PR, you said it's personalities. So show yours off. And if you can show off all the coverage you've got for your clients, do it. Like, that makes you a valuable asset to whatever agency you join. If you can deliver results, LinkedIn is the place to show that. And I also am a bit of a LinkedIn fiend. I love it.
I think it is tricky, as you say, Chris, of kind of finding the balance between not finding yourself cringe, but also obviously showing off your achievements. Do you have a kind of posting strategy? Do you try and make sure you're posting regularly, or is it just sort of as and when the right idea comes to you?
Mine's a bit as and when. When I've had good coverage, or when there's been a campaign that's gone well, or there's something to talk about within the industry, something's happening. But I do feel like I need to get a bit more of an editorial strategy behind my thoughts. Like, sometimes I'll just get ideas when I'm on the bus or whatever, and I'm like, right, I need to write about that on LinkedIn, and then I completely forget. So I do need to actually, get my own strategy, I suppose.
I'm very active on LinkedIn, but I've been very reactive on it. So perhaps when I've ever been featured on a piece, or I've written something or won something, it's only now I've started with a strategy, if you want to call it that way, which is when I went to Cannes. And again, Cannes is now done. I know what I'm going to do next. And I think this trip, because it was the first time in which I realized that, oh my gosh, I want to just create content, whatever that looks like. I know what it is that I want to post on LinkedIn in the next few days or next few weeks, but there's nothing set in stone. So I might try and like post about what I do, because I think people know what I do because they know me, but they don't know what I do because I don't really post that.
And you are also posting your Cannes content on Instagram, which I thought was interesting. Is that kind of your personal Instagram that you're also using for work purposes? It's kind of sharing it across both?
The lines are blurred. It was my personal Instagram, and then it will have my clients in it, but if you see what I post. So then you have Cannes content, and then you have me with the gays, and then you have me. So it's just, and give you an experience. This is Chris.
Yeah, I do think that the blurring lines between kind of social and using social for personal and professional uses is interesting, because I guess Instagram and TikTok have traditionally been very personal, but more and more you get people kind of showing off their professional achievements on there as well. And I think it's interesting to see the mix. Do you use any other social platforms for work purposes, Holly?
I don't, no, just LinkedIn. When I was in consumer, I was on Instagram and TikTok a lot. The audiences and the trends that I needed to keep on top of just shifted completely, and I'm no longer like subscribed to whatever micro trends are going on TikTok now. I'm like Politico and New Statesman.
Oh, slay, I'm loving you. When I see something and I say, oh, I saw it on TikTok, and my sister's like, you need to say that you read it on The Economist.
Yes,
so you're that person.
That happens all the time. My friend's like, oh, I read this. I'm like, did you just see it on TikTok?
Oh my gosh, I love you.
But then I do think you get a lot of kind of news creators on TikTok and stuff now kind of explaining and analysing the news. So I do think there's a lot of convergence, and the lines are blurring a lot, so it's interesting to see that.
I mean, the FT is taking to TikTok to reach new audiences, isn't it now? So now I'm having to think, oh god, I need to get back on TikTok so that I can keep up with, financial inclusion and things like that, because it's relevant to clients. It's evolving, because as we were talking about generations, they are growing older, and the ones that are incoming are kind of going to be the ones who are the consumers and the voters that we'll need to speak to, and their channels are the channels, their social media channels.
Like, as part of our strategies, we often have to think what asset goes to them, how we're going to see them the information. Sometimes it goes as far as we're going to DM them on their channel instead of a press release. So we're aligned.
So obviously we've touched a bit so far on kind of your career paths. I wondered, in terms of specialisms, what your views are on how you kind of came to find what your calling is in PR, I guess. Do you think it's better to sort of decide what it is that you want to specialise in early in your career, or is it better to get general experience and then figure it out?
I think be a generalist for as long as you can, because it sharpens your sense of what a good story is, what lands, and how to handle the media. We're lucky in PR in the sense that if you work in agency particularly, you are a mini expert in so many different things because your clients are so varied across different sectors, products, services, and that just makes you very attuned to different trends, or it's not a one-size-fits-all for the media, so you know how to access different audiences through different channels or different journalists. So I think it's important to have that experience. And also, if you keep it open, then you can see what you do like, what you don't like, and then make that decision a bit later on. I mean, so I've been in the industry for about 7 years, and in that time I've shifted from consumer to corporate affairs. But that was purely through me discovering that I wanted to tell stories that call for change, or it's to influence policy, or to explain to an audience what's coming down the track, what's going to change in their life. And it felt quite meaningful for me, and that I discovered that through years of like trying different things and talking to different people and working with different clients. So that would be my tip, is sharpen your sense of a story, work with as many clients as you can, and get experience working with people who've also worked with, in different sectors, and see where you go from there.
Really interesting.
It's amazing when you know exactly what you want to do, but having that prior experience of more generalist and more open clients will upskill you. Generally, there's things that you need to know, and that you can only learn in a fast-paced agency, and especially my experience from consumer. Like she said, no 2 days are similar. You end up knowing about HFSS, and then suddenly you're talking about wine. I have the WCT in wines because of my client. So it's just, I think you explore, especially this is more targeted towards the emerging talent. Explore, learn, and then as you continue to do things, the right campaign will come, and that's when you realize, oh, maybe I enjoy this element, or maybe I enjoy this client. And then you can decide what's next.
And PR is so transferable, isn't it? The skills are so transferable. So you shouldn't feel like you're putting yourself into a box. If you start out in a certain area or in a certain sector, you can definitely use those skills, particularly early on, because you're the deliverer, right? You're getting results. And if you show that you're a good media handler and you can get good coverage, you can go anywhere, really.
Indeed.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think PR in general, but especially consumer PR, is evolving so quickly that, as you say, you can't just be a specialist in, I guess, traditional consumer PR. There's digital, social, influencer. You have to sort of evolve along with that anyway. So I suppose you're getting that broader experience just by being an agency. We touched on it briefly earlier, but obviously I think we should come back to AI, the topic of, I was going to say of the moment, but I suppose of the last few years. What are your views generally on using AI? I think we've slightly moved past the whole narrative of people being scared that it's going to steal jobs, but I think it's interesting to hear how you guys are kind of using it day to day and what your thoughts are on it generally.
I love AI, and I've been very vocal about it, openly on my LinkedIn, and my family knows it. I love AI. I love responsible use of AI. So I use it for tasks that don't include putting client work on it. Don't do that. But things that will just make your life slightly easier because the resource is there. Like, I think it would be silly not to use it. And I am a firm believer in sometimes you just have to train yourself to use what you have so you can make the most of it and become a better society. And this is what we are going through right now. Don't be scared of using what you have, because you're just missing out.
Yeah, I completely agree with Chris. We use it daily for those kind of admin tasks that you were mentioning, and brainstorming is really, really helpful. And actually Roxhill, which you're probably all familiar with, has now got a new function on each journalist's page. It has like an AI function, and it basically is a database of all of the interviews Roxhill has ever done with the journalists, and it just is all in one space. So you can start brainstorming, oh, I'm thinking about this story, do you think it will work for this journalist? And it's so helpful, because if you've never worked with that journalist before, or you're trying to like come up with a good idea or perfect your pitch, it's just like the perfect tool to use to help you out. But I think, having the fundamentals of PR and doing your work and writing press releases and all of the content behind that first before using AI to help you is still incredibly important. But yeah, I agree with you, using it responsibly. And then if we do that, we'll soon find out how we regulate it.
Yeah, I think it's impressive the speed with which tools like that have kind of emerged. Do you think it's fair for younger people in the industry to kind of be assumed to be AI experts, or do you think it's kind of everyone figuring it out at the same time? Because I suppose you've got people graduating now who will have used it to help with their university assignments and things like that. So do you think we can assume that young people are the ones to sort of champion it, or is it more of an industry-wide effort?
I think we're all on the journey. I tend to use it, I think, at university for that reason, but the reason and the prompts shift completely when you're entering the workspace. So again, you need to learn how to use it for whatever it is that you want to do. So I think it's just across the board, really.
Yeah.
It's new for everyone.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I don't think I'm using ChatGPT, for example, to its full potential compared to some of my colleagues who are maybe directors, associate directors. So I don't think there is an age thing to this. I think we were talking about like digital natives who probably feel more natural, who grow up with it as it evolves. But I don't think that's the case with this. As you say, it's a journey, we're all on it, and there is so much to learn. And I think if you're not keeping up with it, then you are definitely falling behind. But yeah, I think the appetite to use it and use it well is definitely there.
For sure. Another big industry debate is the whole kind of being in the office versus working from home conversation. What are your views on that? I mean, first of all, how often are you in the office and how do you feel about that?
I'm in the office about 4 or 5 times a week.
Okay.
I am a big advocate for being in the office. I just think it's where you learn the most. It's where you connect with your team, feel supported. And I think it's increasing. I think time in the office is increasing post-pandemic. But as well, it's like if you are sitting at home alone and you come across a problem, you make a mistake or something goes wrong or your client is suddenly in a crisis, that problem feels 10 times as big at home sitting on your own than it does sitting in the office, and you can just turn around and speak to your colleague. It's like a problem shared kind of thing, isn't it? So I'm a huge advocate for being in the office.
I work 3 days a week from the office, Tuesday to Thursday. I love it. I believe that in-person and exposure are core to, again, upskilling and just making my name for yourself and how, like you said, dealing with those challenges and learn from your teams. I will not be going to the office 5 days a week. And that's just not going to happen. No.
It's nice to have the flexibility, I think. Having that option to work from home Monday or Friday is really nice.
It's like Mondays and Fridays, start the week at home, okay? Go to the office, I have my routine, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, boom, I'll give you 3 outfits that week. And then I'm home on Friday. And then I swing into my weekend. Yes, balance.
Yeah. See, I'd argue being in on a Monday is quite nice to kind of kickstart the week.
Yeah,
Fridays, I agree. I don't really know anyone who goes in on a Friday and is like sort of really keen on that. Generally, there has been, as you say, Holly, a bit of a shift towards young people sort of wanting to be back in the office, both to kind of gain experience, to get more of a social aspect out of their job. Are you seeing that kind of among your colleagues and peers?
Yeah, totally. I think WA has a nice culture where we work hard and play hard kind of thing. So we've got a summer social coming up in a week's time. So we'll be clocking off at lunch. Clients will be aware, but we'll be clocking off and going out of the office and just spending time together and getting to know each other outside of that work setting a little bit is super important. And we do that as like individual teams as well. So yeah, I think they're seeing the benefit of spending time together.
We spend a lot of time together. The romance is really good at that. I thrive in it because I'm a social butterfly, but again, there is something for everyone. So we have a run club. I'm not part of the run club because I can't run. But there's a run club.
Yeah.
There's a football club. I did that once and I will not be doing it again. But then we have the book club, which I love. You have the netball club. Like whatever it is that you want to do, it's going to be there. And like you said, it's an opportunity for those in the office, new, young, old, whatever, that don't know each other to just connect through their passion. And then we have Farmhouse coming, which is our summer social each year. So yeah, it's a nice little opportunity to connect and form those in-person relationships.
I think it's important to speak to different colleagues who have had different experiences as well, because nobody's career journey is the same. So it allows you to find out what other people did and inspire you to maybe take your career in a similar way.
For sure. I think there's also a bit of an assumption that although younger people love to socialise, they're perhaps not always socializing with activities that are so much centered around alcohol than possibly 5-10 years ago. I mean, Chris, you're saying obviously with like run club and book club, things like that. Do you think that is the case where social activities are shifting away from just being sort of drinking focused?
Absolutely. And there's the generation that might not be as interested. I started in PR alcohol free for the first 2 years actually, and I went to Disneyland Paris Pride with my company, and I was dancing near the stage with Mika, and I was alcohol free. So I think you can do that, but equally companies are aware of the sober curious community, and they are not forcing employees to come to the pub. Instead, what it is they want to do, you're going to go to the VA. We have a membership with the VA. Okay, go and do that. Do you want to play football? Go and play football. We're going to pay for the pitch. So it is important to cater to everyone's needs.
I completely agree. I think at WA as well, we have been making a conscious effort to make sure that socials are centered around everyone's needs, and it's really nice because it's a totally different experience to just going to the pub. It's a lot more fun actually.
Just to quickly touch on another stereotype that I've just thought of kind of younger people in PR. How do you feel about making phone calls? Would that be your preferred method of contacting a journalist, or probably not?
So I actually encouraged past tense people to make the phone calls, and I still call my closest contacts that I know that are gonna be okay. I hate phone calls to Chris person, so I can only imagine what it means for other people. So I've been in PR for 5 years. For the first 2 years, I would write the selling POA or be like phone calls, and then check in again in the afternoon. But as you go on media meets more and more, and you understand what the media landscape looks like, we're not calling anymore. And we need to teach actually our seniors to understand that, because they are the generation that used to make phone calls, and they are powerful, have secured coverage after a phone call. But also, these are relationships, and you don't want to bring your relationship over one sell-in. You want to consult your client, consult your senior, manage them, and then keep your relationship up, because the coverage is going to come in.
I completely agree with Chris. I don't mind a phone call, but I agree you have to have that relationship there in the first place, and you do have to communicate that up and over to your clients as well. But if you need an immediate answer, sometimes you have just got to get on the phone and hope for the best and hope there's somebody on the other end of it, because since everyone's now working from home, you can't guarantee that the switch line is going to take you straight to their phone. But if you've made the relationship and you've got somebody's mobile number, drop them a text, or say, "Oh, can we jump on the phone?" So it still happens.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's nuance to it. There's a difference between, as you say, calling someone that you know quite well and kind of receiving a phone call and someone's just reading out a press release that I'm going to email to you anyway. In terms of the comms industry as a whole, appreciate this is quite a big question, but what is a change that you'd like to see, and what practical steps do you think we can take to actually put that in action? Chris, do you want to start?
I would love to see more Black people in color, and I'm going to speak as a Black person, or Black people in senior roles. I want to see Black people promoted. I want to see Black people leading agencies where they're not the founders. But when you look at who the Black directors are, most times they are the directors because they founded their agency, or they just have to go in-house because, there's no progress in their agencies. So I think we need to work towards a more diverse industry. And when I say diverse, it needs to be senior-led, because you look at agencies and then you have all companies, and you have all the Black people in like AA, and then you don't see them leading. And I think having a very solid D&I work stream is the step to it. Inform yourself. There's a lot of I'm saying Black, but I'm speaking about everyone that's not white and everyone that's not privileged. And I think I am a representation of that as a Black queer man. But there's a lot of creative and talented people out there that are looking for jobs. And there's a lot of companies that want to do those hires, and they just don't know how to find them. And this is my point again about exposing yourself, because that way you're gonna reach the right people. So it's a work that has to be done both ways, but obviously more so from the company, because if you have the power to own a company, you have the power to do what is needed to be a great company and have the right staff and be diverse.
And you're quite involved with the Black Comms Network, right?
I am indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is exactly the case. I know so many talented people that are part of the network, and I try to consult them, and actually it has worked. Like, I've been a mentor for them, and they have secured amazing jobs because they're talented, not because I'm their mentor, but just going on the journey with them and seeing that it is possible. So again, doing the networks, but companies again go to the networks because the networks have access to the talent and hire the people.
Yeah, and I think it helps if younger people within the companies are kind of rallying for that as well, that it's not just kind of the responsibility of the agency boss, but kind of everyone kind of making sure that that is the norm, for sure. What change would you like to see in the industry, Holly?
Well, I completely agree with Chris, for starters. And I think to add to it as well is opening up the career path for working class people as well, and showing them that there is a career and that it is one that they can take, and maybe opening up different routes into that career as well. I mean, I went to university, I did journalism, but maybe there's another route in that you could take yourself if university is not for you. Perhaps, you know, you don't feel like you can do that. Maybe you feel like you can't afford to go to university. Can you do an apprenticeship? Can you get paid to learn and work on the job? And I think it's up to us and as employers to explore new routes of recruitment, right? And encourage and bring people on and teach them how the industry works from a different route in.
How has PR kind of compared to your expectations of what you thought it might be like to work in? I know, obviously, Holly, you studied journalism, and Chris, you kind of started in journalism as well. Being on the other side of it, is it how you imagined it would be, sort of a PR career?
That's not a question for me because I had no idea about what PR was until I did my interview.
Okay.
I Googled it.
Yeah.
And I was, remember, I have just moved from Spain then. So I was like a year in, and my English was not where it is today. So I was reading, and I was like, okay. So this has to do something with media because this came from the media department. What is it? And also I started during the pandemic. So as much as companies tried to keep the normality, I think my introduction to PR was completely different because we were all figuring out what was happening. But then, has it exceeded my expectations? Is I finished my internship and realized that, okay, this is what I want to do? Yes. And I love PR so much that I would never leave brand storytelling.
That's very impressive. It did meet my expectations, I suppose. So I sort of had an understanding of it from journalism lecturers telling us what it was like to hear from PRs when they were working in the field. But it was a very different perspective, and we all know how journalists can sometimes feel about PRs. There is that tension. So I was a little bit worried about that, to be honest. And you still hear it all the time on LinkedIn of terrible experiences that journalists are having with PR. So really try hard to not be that PR.
And in terms of your own kind of career goals, what would you say you're kind of hoping to achieve? Do you have a dream client that you'd like to work with or anything like that?
I think I already work with some of my dream clients. A career goal of mine is to perhaps, you can't do that because you're in PR, isn't it? But as much as I love media relations, I would love a role where I just do influencer and media partnerships and no more sellings. I don't want to be selling anymore. I do it and I thrive at it, but I hope not to be doing it in the next 5 years.
There we go.
That's the career goal right there. Sorry. I have to be transparent.
Holly?
That's a good answer. I don't think I have a dream client, rather like dream outcomes for different clients. I think anything can become a bit of a passion project if you are emotionally invested in the goal and the outcome that the client is hoping for. So yeah, I mean, I moved into the role that I'm in and the company that I'm at because it's all about like storytelling and telling people stories and calling for change. And that for me was the pull and what I go to work for, I suppose. But I also think a dream client doesn't necessarily have to be a brand or a product or a service. I think it can be the people. I think if you are working with a client team that is incredibly well communicative, they are outside the box thinkers, they take your ideas on board really well, and they're just an extension of your team and vice versa, then that is in itself a recipe for a dream client, I think. It can quite often be the people. It could be a company that you're not familiar with, but all of a sudden it becomes this amazing team to work with because the people are just so brilliant.
And in terms of agency versus in-house, would you ever consider the jump, or are you quite happy agency side?
Now, yes. I feel like I'm very young and I need these years as training. I will answer the question again in 5 years because it might change. But for now, I know that this is what I want to do, and just, like you said, no two days are the same. So I know that in-house I have this different, and I'm not open to exploring that just yet. Keep me busy, burn me out. I like it.
There we go.
I mean, yeah, agency is not for everyone, but it certainly has that pace, doesn't it? And you either love it or hate it. And I think I love it. You love the pace, but there's also like a camaraderie to agency account teams, pitch teams that just, I don't think maybe you don't get that in-house. But yeah, similarly, my work's not done in agency yet. But yeah, watch this space.
Nice. Well, unfortunately, that is all we have time for, but thank you both for joining me. It's been a really insightful discussion. And thanks to you two for listening. Until next time, goodbye.